about that. Me, I think relationships are wonderful. My friend even said the other time that she thinks I'm a better person when I'm in a
Just came back.
relationship.
None of them are going to.
Oh
I don't think
goodness.
I'm probably dead as far as they're concerned. I'm joking. I wouldn't go that far. But yeah,
Because every relationship is a lesson,
Oh, same.
and every relationship teaches you about yourself. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out in these past relationships, as I said, that I fell in love with. Would see what was the point of that, but maybe, hopefully, by the 31st of December, because after that, I'm not thinking about it.
Is it? Oh, why are you putting that?
Hi, it's Sips.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am Bonga, and you are listening and watching
The Unintentional Podcast. And today we're here with our very lovely guest, Nompumelelo Khanyile, who's the author of Words I Almost Swallowed. And a few days ago, when was it? We attended her launch.
It was Friday, wasn't it?
Thursday.
Sorry. It felt like a Friday. Look, every day feels like a Friday.
Yeah,
It's
it's
December. But
welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to start us off with, can you tell us a bit about who is Nompumelelo Khanyile?
Okay. It's always such a difficult question, but I'm originally born here in Maritzburg. I am the oldest of 5 kids.
Wow.
And I did my primary schooling, high school and tertiary in Maritzburg.
Okay.
And then only started to leave the province for work purposes. I obviously love poetry. I love reading. I also love traveling. I think that's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
I have to ask, what is it like, I guess, living and growing up here in Pietermaritzburg? And do you ever miss it now?
Honestly, no. No, not in a bad way. There's this thing that people say, you do have to leave your comfort zone. You have to leave your hometown in order to just be more open-minded to see things that are out there. So Maritzburg is great for maybe coming back to rest, but in terms of just the exposure and seeing how other people live, I think it's important to leave your hometown. Yeah.
I agree. It makes sense.
And you've written this book, and we attended your launch, and it was beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you take us through the process of actually publishing a book?
So as I said during the launch, my writing was all over the place. So the first step was to collect all the pieces from the different places that they were in and create one document, basically, and just work on those. As I said, some I had written so long ago, and I had to go back and,
Just carry on. It's all good.
So I had to and re-look at them because I think I'm a different writer now than I was 10 years ago. So it was firstly just get the material in one place, and then I sent it to an editor. The first layer of editing was done by someone, she's called Linati, based in the Eastern Cape.
Okay.
Just to get a sense of, she's a poet and an editor herself. So it was to get a sense of, is this work even worth exploring and turning into a book? And so I think the editing process is the one that takes the longest, because I think it went through 3 different editors that looked at it, and all of them had, suggestions and recommendations that were different from each other. So I think one thing that's important as a writer also is to keep your voice during the editing process, because there's a lot of there's a lot of guidance because this sentence would sound better
Yeah.
if you wrote it like this.
Wow.
And I know, change the title, change the entire flow, so it's very easy to lose your voice during the editing process. And then after editing, I approached, there is a black-owned company called We Wrote.
Okay.
And so what they're trying to do is to help black upcoming authors to publish easy. It's quite a is it an industry? I don't know, but it's a place that's very difficult to penetrate. So the next thing was to take it to them,
Okay.
and they also did their own editing.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I liked with working with them was they were very clear that they do not want to change the essence of the message. So they really allow you to be. So it was then with them. And after a few back and forth, because they've got an internal editor as well,
Okay.
they suggested quite a number of things which were useful for how the book looks today.
Okay.
And then after that, it was obviously just the formatting, the layout of the book. Do we want it to be this size? Do we want it to be longer? So you go through that just before the printing part.
Okay.
Then so then they are the ones who are responsible for printing as well. So they approached a black-owned a printing company.
Okay.
That printed. We first did 50 copies to start.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there was a huge mistake with the first batch, and we just could not continue with that. Some people kept saying, no, you're the only one that will know. But then I felt like it's my first work.
Yes.
I'd like it not to be perfect. You can never reach perfection. But I just felt uncomfortable taking out umsebenzi that I know there is this huge error on the book.
Yes.
So there was a huge delay. We reprinted. And then it came out correct. And then after that, they sent me the books. So I know this is a very quick and dirty summary of the publishing process, but basically that's what happened. And then I received the books and planned a launch in Pretoria. And then, so it's been like
And it sounds like it's been crazy and busy. But how has the reception been?
It's been quite interesting, actually. Firstly, in Pretoria, the book launch ticket sales, they sold out. And it was literally people that did not know that I write. People that I work with, they know me from a very different space.
Okay.
But the support was amazing. And we actually sold out the books during that launch, and people have been buying for friends, for family. I'd say I'm actually very grateful for the way that the book is being received, and just how people have been giving me feedback on how they relate to it as well. People will tell me, page something and something is really talking to me. Thank you for writing that. So I think as a first time publishing author, I'm really impressed and surprised as well. Uguti, oh wow, people are really receiving it quite well.
But just to go back a little bit, do you think you had to get formal training on how to be a writer, or was it just something of a passion project?
It was really a passion project. I have not had any formal writing training or even mentorship. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books. I usually have a target to go to. Each year I want to read so many books. So I think the little that I know about writing has been learned from other authors.
Okay.
But I would like to take it more seriously and, attend a course and as I'm planning to write more books. But it was really a passion project in such a way that I was like, I'll just sell to my friends and close family people. It's not going to be, a profit-making project as such. I really just want to get the work out there. So, it's been just learning as I go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, during your launch, you know, we saw your friends and family come out to you, but one sort of relationship that stood out for me was the one you had with your two cousins, and you called yourselves the Three Musketeers. So that spoke to me a lot about sisterhood, you know, and friendship. Can you tell us, you know, what has been the glue that has kept you guys together for so long?
So we literally grew up together. We are almost the same age. And, you know, there's a saying that says your cousins are your first friends, basically, because you grow up together, you go through different stages together. So it has literally just been that we've stayed in each other's houses. I don't know what our moms were going through, but like it's literally just been growing up together, and we got close. There was never any, you know, a competitive spirit. I call them my sisters, not even my cousins. So it's I don't know. It's so nice to have people that know you from since you were little, you know, since primary school.
And just seeing you evolve
over
into
time.
this woman that you are
Exactly.
today.
Yeah, and we've gone through similar experiences. We've always been very open about the things that we're going through without a fear of judgment, you know. So I can't say what the glue is. I mean, there are seasons where we are all going through our own thing and focusing in different things. It's not what we are always that tight, but we just never lose the connection that we have. So it's been amazing to grow up together, and also just seeing them becoming the women that they are. And but I think sisterhood really is about transparency, knowing your safe spaces, you know, knowing who you talk to when, because also with them, I know who to talk to about what, you know. So it's really just about knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses and covering for each other as well. So our moms are sisters, and we've also just forever lived our lives as the Three Musketeers, and we are inseparable even now since back then. So yeah, I think they are a good support system. We support each other, and it's been amazing to grow together and just branch into the different spheres in life. Yeah,
that's amazing. And I know that, you know, some of the poems that you actually wrote about were also inspired by some of their experiences. I don't know, Bonga, you had a question?
Yes, I do. Still on the subject of family, in the foreword of your book, you mentioned how much your grandfather was sort of a patriarch and an inspiration to you and your family. My question to you is like, what does he mean to you and your family in general? I did notice also at the launch that you know he was revered by a lot of your family members. Whenever he was mentioned, you know, I would see your aunts or your mother's eyes light up, and they'd smile, and they'd be like, "Yeah, grandfather," and so on. Like, what does it mean to all of you as a family?
I think he was literally the glue that kept us together. And you know, during school holidays like this, we would be kamkhulu. Everybody just knew, I would say that's where we go. He was strict. For a couple of years, we were not allowed to wear pants. Like, it was that type of family, you know. And then as people grew, you'd leave the house wearing a skirt, and then down the road, you turn your pants. You know, like, he was so strict. But the one thing that he valued the most was education. He was a school principal for many years in a couple of schools around Maritzburg. So Umkhulu was literally the glue that kept the family together. We lost our grandmother quite early, and you know, sometimes kuthiwa when the woman of the house is gone, the family falls apart. But it was such a different experience for us, because he valued family, he valued education, and he was strict as well. There were certain things we were not allowed to do, and he in his strictness, I think he instilled certain values for us about family, about the expectations of, oh, if you're a child, this is what you should be doing. Like, we never had freedom. You couldn't just do anything anyhow. And also being religious, he was a man of the cloth, he was a priest. So we grew up in such a religious environment, and it really helped us. Kamkulu, at 7 p.m., everybody was expected to be home for prayer. He did not care. He did not care where you are. So, like, even our uncles who would be maybe out with friends, they are drinking. At 7 o'clock, their friends knew. You know, if 7 o'clock hits and maybe you are with your friends at the house, they come in for prayer as well. So it was just that type of environment. So Nkulu meant a lot to the entire family, and I think his death really hit us hard. But when you look back, we are really grateful for the values he instilled, and he really wanted the best for us. And you know, as we were getting to being adults or pre-adults, he'd also just give us certain tips. You know, you'd be saying, even when you're getting married, do not marry a man that's like A, B, and C, because they will, you know. So it was literally every area of our lives where he had such a huge impact. And I think I dedicate the book to him, because without that foundation of loving to read, wanting to be educated, wanting to do best and not disappoint parents, without him, maybe it would have gone another way. Yeah, so he's just one of those people that we always remember, and just look back at how he held us together. He was the glue, actually, that kept the family together. Yeah.
That's amazing. He sounds like a very special person.
Definitely.
So let's get back to the book. For me, my favorite poem, or the one that I felt like hit me hard, was on page 29. And, well, it starts from page 29. It's called Weep. Would you mind if you just read that for us and spoke a bit about it?
Okay. So maybe before I read...
Can I hold it for you?
Oh, sure. Okay. Maybe before I read the book, can I give this poem a bit of a background to it? So, you know, when you're writing, you get inspired by different things. Sometimes it's a quote, sometimes it's a song, sometimes it's whatever. So Weep, it's interesting that you like it, because it was one of the poems that was quite big during the first launch in Pretoria as well. So I had seen a quote on the next page that says, there must be those amongst whom we can sit down and weep and still be counted as warriors, by Adrian Rich. So I read this and it literally moved me so much to say, sometimes we go through certain things. Some, they can be embarrassing, some are literally our own fault, but we deserve to have spaces where we can sit down, be naked and say, this is what I've done, this is what has happened, but still be counted as a warrior, so that your weaknesses are never used against you. You know, it's important to have those spaces where you can be vulnerable. So that's where this poem comes from. So I'll read it now. So it says, Weep. Weep for all our blunders, the mistakes we knowingly made, days when our brilliance escaped, even when common sense became difficult to locate. Weep for the unworthy fights we took on that left permanent scars, going back to prisons we had previously escaped through blood and tears. Weep for our relapses, our foolishness, flaunting our strength and taking on battles not meant for us, for holding on to things that had no grip, for loving those who could not love us back. begging and pleading with those not wired to be sensitive to our needs, for thinking we could build homes out of camping sites, for forsaking our principles to accommodate immediate gratification. There must be those amongst whom we can sit down and whip and still be counted as warriors, because they know us more than our foolishness. They bear testimony to our strength and bravery on our better days. Thanks.
Beautiful.
Beautiful indeed.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the subject of poems, I think my favorite, which was also a poem you read at the launch on Thursday, was a response to one of the questions from the floor about how a lot of your poetry has a lot of biblical references. You know, I noticed a lot of that in the few poems you chose to read.
Yeah.
And then as a response to that question of, are your poems religiously, linked as well? And you raised this particular poem as reference to the fact that not necessarily you cater to a wide audience. So my favorite poem was on page 57. I don't have my book with me for the title, but if you don't mind, please reading that for us. It was so profound when you read it, and I think a lot of people were touched by that poem on the day.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have a bit of background on this one as well, or you just want to get right into it?
Maybe let me read it and then I'll explain what inspired it once I've read it. So the title is Angry Letters to God. Our whole night prayers, our 40-day fasts, our 6-hour Sunday services, our midweek cell groups, voices gone from singing old and creating new hymns, declarations, verses we have memorized in all Bible versions, calling things as though they are, while they are not. Our seed, sowing in faith, labor, and blood. Our journey to the mountains barefooted, sometimes to the ocean, often to the waterfalls. My goodness, we have searched for you, adored you, longed for your look. Our hunger, our tears, our poverty, slavery, colonization, apartheid, institutionalized racism, the daily injustices. Nothing moves you. So, yes. So this poem is, it's political, because I cannot remember what had happened, but I was just reflecting on how we as Black people, we are so religious. Yes. We are the ones, Sunday nje, half the day you're going to spend in church, We have whole night prayers. It's December now. Some people on the 31st are going to be in church because they want to enter the new year, in church, praying and begging for the year to be better than it was. So I think I was just looking at the injustices that Black people go through, especially, and how if we only required faith to have a good life, somehow that's just not reflecting on the Black experience. We worship this God the most, and not just like the whole of Africa. We are the most prayerful continent, but somehow we are just not we're just not getting there, and
the blessings are not raining down.
Like, where are Abraham's blessings? Where is this thing that we have been promised so much and that we believe? So no, we've searched for this God. Like, we've really wanted to be in a good place with our God, but when we are looking practically at what we go through as Black people, it just doesn't align. And I felt like nothing moves God, so that's why it's titled Angry Letters to God. Like, it's disappointment mostly. It's like, dude, But it can't be like this. And as I said at the lunch, white people go to church for literally 1 hour.
Yeah.
In
In
their
and out.
flip-flops, in their shorts.
Yes.
And Bapome, they are done. They have a smoke outside. Today in our churches, you can't just
Wearing suit and tie,
Yeah.
pointy shoes,
for
everything.
6 hours. For
Yeah.
6 hours,
Yes.
you understand.
Yeah.
And they get into their nice cars. They come. They go home in these fancy suburbs. Tina, you get in a taxi or you get a lift from Umzalwane, and like it just doesn't make sense. If faith is all that we require, why are we where we are? So it's an angry poem.
I love that poem because I think, although you're Christian and possibly a lot of your readers are also Christian, it shows how human we are as well. That we can actually reach places where we either feel vulnerable or we doubt ourselves or doubt our beliefs and whatnot. That's what I loved the most about the poem. That it's real. The fact that we're Christian doesn't mean that we always have to be on the straight and narrow all the time. We do have our vulnerabilities, our weaknesses, and so on. But we try our best and pick ourselves up, put on our shiny suits, and go to church for 6 hours on Sundays. So yeah.
Yes, it's like relatable because we all go through these lulls in our faith journey where we just like, why God, why is this happening? But at the end of the day, it's still about faith, having faith that it will be better.
Someday.
Yes, someday, yes.
Yeah.
And with regards to the book, what are some of the biggest takeaways that you want your audience, the readers, to have? And maybe even members of a family, because I know that there are some poems dedicated to members of a family as well. Like, what sort of takeaways, firstly, for your general audience, that you want them to take away from the book? Let's start there, and then we'll go on to family afterwards.
For me, it's mostly just about chasing your dreams. Like, it's possible. And I come from a family of very talented individuals, but somehow you just see people are getting discouraged because things are not coming together. They've been trying. So for me, the biggest takeaway would be that it's possible. Just do it. Chase your dreams boldly and be whoever that you want to become. It's the same for my family as well. So my youngest brother is also a poet. In fact, I think he's a better poet than I. And I've really just been asking him to focus, like, write. You are good in this, do it. And I even promised that maybe one of the books that are going to come in the future, it could be a collab. I think you heard.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that if maybe perhaps you would be
definitely
collaborating.
Yeah, it's something that I would like to say. Okay, this first session is from author who and who, and then the second one is a different author. But just to lift each other up, and I'm hoping this is a reflection of, okay, the door has been opened. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's collaborate. Let me take you through the journey. And I've experienced there are things I could have done better, and which I will definitely be telling the next person about. So to know, approach it this way. So it's really about having this. Not just for myself or as a benefit to myself, but to bring along as many people as I can as we chase our dreams. So, and also another takeaway, just generally, is our feelings are valid. Our feelings are valid, and I learned that through reading other poetry. It's surprising to come across words that they just hit you. It's like, okay, I've felt this, but I could not articulate it, So it's just to say, we are all, being a human is complicated. We go through stuff, but your feelings are valid, and don't be scared. Don't be ashamed about how you feel. Someone else has felt that, and I hope that comes through with the book. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a nice way to wrap it up. But for me, I just wanted to just say in the end, you know, you spoke about being like a woman, a black woman, having to give all the time. And, you know, how that takes away from you, and sometimes you have to keep for yourself, because you quoted, don't remember the exact quote, but something along the lines of, you know, givers have to have limits or boundaries because takers have none. So just a message, you know, going into 2024, you know, what can, you know, you tell our viewers and our listeners, you know, about, you know, keeping some things to yourself.
I feel like the way that, especially black women, because that's my experience. We overextend ourselves a lot of times. We do too much. You know, we are always giving. We are always sacrificing. We are always the pillars. You know, and I've stopped. There's this saying, "Otini, what's in tabafaz, what's in timbogot." I'm like, I'm not imbogoto. I'm a marshmallow. Like, I break. You know. So I think we need to look at ourselves in that lens to say, we don't have to overdo and overextend. Keep some for yourself. Don't give everything. You know. Don't. Always keep some for yourselves, whether it is love, whether it is peace, whether it's money, whether it's whatever. Always just keep some for yourself. And I think mostly in relationships, women tend to do just too much. And now my motto with my friends is do less. Literally.
Wow.
I'm always like, guys, do less, because I mean, experience has taught us as well that the more that you do, especially for men, I don't know. Somehow it's the more that they wanna run away from you. Must be right.
It's like the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, the more that you sacrifice. I've seen that relationships that actually work are those where the lady is chilled and is allowing the man to do. It's like, a man must. You know,
must.
Like not okay. Kind of context delay. Enging ayithandi with indota must. But kind of le futhi engiyithandayo. No, make a plan. Don't ask me to go take a loan for you. Like,
no,
you understand?
I get it.
Yeah, so I'm like, let's do less, guys. Let's do less. Let's love ourselves more. Let's take care of ourselves more. Let's not always just empty ourselves, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Amen.
You know, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And if you have not learned to love yourself, to pour into yourself, you should not be doing it to the next person. So until you get to a place where you are self-sufficient, emotionally even, then but do less. Do less.
So from my side, thank you very much. I think
Thank
that's
you.
a lesson we can take going forward into the new year.
Yes, I'll also try doing less as well. See how that works out for me. Just kidding. But truly grateful for this whole experience, man. You coming through to see us as well means a lot.
Thank you so much for
No,
coming.
thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And with that, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember to catch the Unintentional podcast on Spotify as well, on our YouTube channel, Facebook and Instagram. You can just talk to us. We very chilled.
All right, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Okay, take care.
So I guess I'm a relationship person.
And that's a wrap. Just press stop.
Of course not. I have to evaluate. No, I think that's very important. I think for me, this has taught me a lot as well. I think going forward, I would like to have a dating space, because I feel like in my past I've just jumped into relationships. And if you have any questions, of course.
Oh, let me ask the usual question.
Sure, go ahead.
Are you guys seriously dating?
I'm joking. I'm joking. No. It's a good one though. No, we're not.
No, you're not.